Hey everybody, Keith Saarloos coming to you live and direct from Windmill Ranch. And no, this is not a vineyard, but I wanted to show you something that I've never seen in my life. This spring has sprung in a new and dramatic way. We had over 6 feet of rain in this vineyard this year, and this is our field that we plant with all of this unbelievable rye and mixed high protein feed for our cattle, and I have literally never seen it this high in my life. Actually, underneath that beautiful windmill right there is an entire wagon that you can't even see. But let me show you another part of the vineyard. I just wanted to show you this because you'll maybe never see it again. I am absolutely stoked right now. And here we are back in El Camino Real Vineyard. And as you can see, with all the life around me, spring has definitely sprung. This is our future all right here. All these green little buds you see stretching off into the distance. That is future wine. That is what we are doing out here. We are farming wine. You could also see that we've got a nice green carpet rolled out. We also have a little river that's been running through the vineyard for the last 4 months. Before that, the longest I ever saw it run was 3 days. So our aquifers here in the valley are at maximum. The batteries are charged and I am looking forward to the future. I said it to someone the other day. Have you ever met a pessimist farmer? And the answer is no, because if a farmer is a pessimist, they're not usually a farmer anymore. So everything we do is in the spirit of optimism. So let me tell you a little bit about this wine club shipment. This shipment, I wanted to tell you a love story. And this is going to be a tough one for me to get out, but I think it's an important one. But I want to tell you a specific love story. And this is the love story of my parents, written on these 3 wines that you're going to get in this shipment. We'll start off with my mom. Mom is a Grenache Blanc, grown right over here on El Camino Real. Grenache Blanc as a grape is very, very special. There's not much of it. If you actually take the amount of Chardonnay that's spilled on the ground during a harvest, there's actually more of that hits the ground than total Grenache Blanc is picked in the United States. There's only about 266 acres. So there's a big difference in women and my mom. It's special, it's unique. You don't find it on a grocery store shelf. And that is exactly who my mom is. My mom, back in high school, was a 4-sport varsity athlete and a cheerleader. She was the it girl in her school. My dad asked her out and she said, "I'd love to go out with you, but it'll be in about 6 weeks. And he said, 6 weeks? She goes, "Yeah, I've got dates up until then." So my dad waited 6 weeks to get a date with my mom. That is how it she was. And she could have peaked there in high school, but my mom continued to evolve and become a different person throughout her life. I think she's on the 5th incarnation of who she is, and this one I absolutely love more than all the rest. And I think that is unique, and that is special, and that is not something you find on a grocery store shelf in wine, and nor do you find my mom, a special, unique, unbelievably great person. They're not a dime a dozen. They're special. There's one off. And that's the way I think about my mom, and I hope it's how you think about your mom. You know, what can you say about the woman who made you in her belly? I am eternally grateful to my mother. She is an unbelievably great human being. And the greatest gift she ever gave me was that she told me she'd love me no matter what. And I know she said that same thing to my brother, and she's an excellent grandmother, and she is one of a kind. The second wine in the shipment is Dad. And Dad is a Mourvèdre grown right here on El Camino Real. It's a big, red, brooding wine, but it has a beautiful soft side. My dad, when he asked my mom out, he waited 6 weeks. And why did he wait 6 weeks? Honestly, because my mom was worth it. And he went on one date with her. He came home that night and told his mother, "That's her." My dad is a bit of a maniac. And he's a maniac in the best sense of the word. Rational people don't plant vineyards. Rational people do not throw their heart over the fence and hope their body follows. But that's who my dad was. I think that lives on in my brother and me. My brother being the head coach of TCU baseball and me assuming my father's work. In all honesty, he has infected us with something. When I saw my wife the first time, I knew she was it. My brother, first date, knew his wife was it. And I know that that's rare, but when you have a mom like mine, you have a dad like mine, and you see that love affair, that passion between those two people, it is something you recognize almost instantly. And when I met my wife the first time, I knew she was it because she had that it factor. That is something that's unique and special, and my dad infected my brother and I with that. My dad had two loves. He had baseball and he had this dream of farming. And he infected both of his boys with something absolutely beautiful and a bit of a curse, because sometimes you just find what you love and let it kill you. This is a hard job. This is something we fight for. We could go buy grapes from literally anyone, but to actually bring them forth from the vine, to stay out here overnight for weeks during frost protection, all of those things are things you do when you're in love with something. And when you are truly in love with someone, when you are truly in love with something, you won't make rational decisions. You will make decisions that are not only from your heart, but they are decisions you feel you have to make. And then you go forth and make them real. That dad is a very special wine. Mike Lamberti took that photo on that bottle right here. I love that photo. Usually all of our photos are black and white, but that is bar none my favorite photo of my father ever taken. I miss him every day. He's been gone 3 years, and here we are continuing his life and his legacy and making that dream not only thrive, but prosper. The last wine in your wine club shipment is called 1971. And 1971 is a very unique wine. You don't find this anywhere. It's Syrah from Ballard Canyon and Cab from right here. And when we first made this wine about 15 years ago, when we took Syrah and Cab and put them together, people thought it was an abomination. It was, oh, how could you do that? But when we grow both varietals, we can do whatever we want. And we used to celebrate my grandparents' marriage, and now we're celebrating my parents' marriage. So that photo on that bottle is a picture of my dad and my mom in high school, before they were married. That union, that joining of those two souls, of Syrah, of Cab, of Larry and Linda, created this. The fact that my mom said yes to my dad's date and my dad knew she was the one that night has led to wine coming to your door. It's led to everything you see around you. I think of my wife and myself and what are we doing today to benefit my children, my grandchildren in the future. That I'm obsessed by it, because that is what my dad was obsessed by. So when we take Syrah and we take a Cab and we put them together, we think of it as a union, as a marriage, as a joining of two things. Once you pour or blend those two wines together, you can never separate them. Their souls are intertwined. They become something bigger and greater than a Cab by itself or a Syrah by itself. It becomes a totally new thing. And what I'm proud of it, this wine is the wine that freed the line for us. We could do whatever we want, whenever we wanted, because we were putting in the hard work, growing these grapes and making these wines. So why wouldn't we put chocolate and peanut butter together? That's a magical combination. Because of tradition, that's insane. We should be progressing our thought processes and doing things that just make us happy with the work that we put in. Our final wine, if you're red only, is Big Lair. And on that label, if you are not red only, it is available for sale. We do have more of that. So on that label is a picture I took with a photomatic camera, a little zip, 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 click. And we were standing on top of our high hill harvesting Syrah, and I saw my dad look over our vineyard. And he looked over his dream, and more than that, he looked over his father's dream. My grandpa's dream was to grow something from the ground and raise cattle. My dad made it a reality, and I am carrying it forward, and my children are involved. And that is one of the most beautiful things I can think of, to have a generational dream progress. And not only progress, but bring joy in the act of doing it. I love that photo. If you look, the olive trees are small, the vines are little, and there is just so much hope and so much promise in his eyes. My dad was a romantic, and my mom, that it girl, fell in love with my father because his dreams were bigger when they were with her. My dad's dreams were bigger because he was with her. When we planted Windmill Ranch, it was because my mom said, well, people don't want apples, I'm sure they want grapes. Why don't you just plant grapes? And my dad went out and we tore out orchard and replanted it in vine. It's all of these little moments that throughout your life seem meaningless. Like that throwaway snap of a photo I took 25 years ago. And today it's one of my most valued possessions because I remember where we were, what we were doing. And that was far beyond there was anything even called Saarloos and Sons. These wines are important to me. You could go buy wine off the grocery store shelf and it's a beverage and some faceless company made it and gave you a pretty label. But we are real flesh and blood people that are doing everything we can every single day, fighting back every pressure that we're getting, both financially and otherwise, to do this for you. And I just wanted to say, from a very, very grateful son, thank you for giving us a job. Thank you for letting us continue to make these wines that are from the heart and get out here every day and work our fingers to the bone to make the best possible wine for you. Not for a buyer, not for a store, but individuals like you that share it on their table with people that they love. Like I said, there is no rational explanation to do this. I probably could do a ton of other things, but every day when I wake up in the morning, I can't stop thinking about this place. I can't stop thinking about progressing a dream of our family and continuing to do it, and more of that, doing it for you. So, Mom, Dad, 1971, and Big Lair. Without those things, there would be no Keith Saarloos and there would be no Saarloos and Sons. That's where the beginning of this river starts. So for Keith Saarloos and this spring shipment, it is going to be absolutely awesome, and we have some Mother's Day specials coming up and a lot is in the pipe ready to go. But for Keith Saarloos, we live to honor those that have come before us and we prepare the way for those yet to come. Thank you.
Watch out, but just move on.